Your NBA player props for Monday, January 23rd. No one better to do it with than Brian Matthews, aka BMatt, the prop king over here at OddsChecker. I'm Matias. Brian, we had a really good weekend of NFL action. We've had a good weekend of NBA action, but it's a fresh new week and we got a lot of props to bring the people.
Hey, I'm excited, man. Every time we jump off football, NBA happens every day, right? So it's a new chance to hit something nice, hit a few plays. So, yeah, let's talk about it.
We got a full slate of games going tonight. Again, as we start to transition over from NFL being the main focus to the NBA and so forth. Of course, you can get every pick across every sport on our website in the picks tab, and also follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, and subscribe to us on YouTube at OddsChecker US. We're also giving away $500 this month just for subscribing and for commenting on any video. So the money is going right into your pocket, and it's barely anything you have to do. Brian, we're going to start with your picks. I have a couple picks I want to throw at you. Then we're going to have Draftkings most popular prop bets for tonight. But let's just start with what the people are here for, and that's your top plays for tonight. Run in whatever order you want and lay it on me.
All right, man. So I'm going to start a little bit off the beaten path here on my first prop. This is one I really like.
Anything else?
So Derek White of the Boston Celtics. Look, the Celtics, they're going to be without Malcolm Brogdon. They're going to be without Marcus Smart. So I went back and tried to see, who would benefit usage-wise, if that were to happen. And on November 16th, the Celtics played the Atlanta Hawks. Derek White started at point guard. No Marcus Smart, no Malcolm Brogdon. He finished that game with 16 points, 10 assists, 5 rebounds. So he had 26 points plus assists and also had 17 potential assists. So I like the over 17.5 points plus assists, which is available at DraftKings right now at minus 110. So I'm going to roll with Derek White tonight. He's going to need to do some scoring with those guys out, and he's got some good scores around him with Tatum and Brown.
Yeah, you mentioned it. Probably no Time Lord. Robert Williams probably not playing tonight, though we haven't gotten official word. No Marcus Smart, no Malcolm Brogdon. I mean, anyone who's a fan of this team knows that Derek White is a truther and probably doesn't get as much love across the league as he deserves it. But you mentioned, I mean, Tatum coming back after resting this past week. And he has been a big force in terms of scoring it as well. But hey, you pick up an assist, you'll take it as well.
Exactly. All right. So I guess number two, look, and we talked about this before. This is a player that I typically avoid at all costs, but sometimes the matchup's just too good. So D'Angelo Russell, I'm going to go D'Angelo Russell over 2.5 3-pointers made. Playing against Houston in his last 2 games, he's hit 4 3-pointers in each of his last 2. He's cleared this number in his last 4, shooting with a lot of volume, almost double-digit attempts each night. So on this case, I'm going to ride the hot hand in a game with the high projected total and isn't expected to be a complete blowout. So that's why I'm going to dip my toes back into the D'Angelo Russell pool, but I'll stick for there now.
Yeah, the volume thing is usually not a problem for him. It's the hitting the shots part, and obviously the T-Wolves have been a little disappointing. But I like your train of thought on that, on the high total with the Rockets too. Have just been abysmal on both sides of the floor.
Yeah. And then look, the last one, I have kind of 2 ways to play this. So we don't know if Robert Williams is going to play tonight for the Celtics. So I've already played this in 2 ways. Wendell Carter over 8.5 rebounds is available at BetMGM at plus 110. I think it's about minus 115 right now on DraftKings. So some nice value there. I think that, that's kind of with Robert Williams still questionable, not knowing if he's going to play. I think if Robert Williams is ruled out, as I expect him to be, not that I really know, but just based on them being on the front end of a back-to-back, I think he might be ruled out. So I took the over 8.5 rebounds. Another way that you can play it too to get it at plus money is to take Wendell Carter for 8+ rebounds and parlay that in the same game parlay with Jason Tatum 25+ points. Look, Tatum's going to need to score tonight. Jaylen Brown's going to need to score tonight. Orlando is 2-1 on the season against these guys, and there's a fair amount of banter going back and forth. So Tatum's going to need to score. So that's a way that you can kind of lose some of the juice on both of those guys and still take it at plus money.
And we're going to talk about that Celtics game a good amount. I want to now, it's perfect transition into one of my picks for tonight. I really like the Magic +8 against the Celtics. I know this is, a potential just kind of blowout spot for the Celtics. Tatum is coming in rested. His player point line is at 31.5. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we get into DraftKings most popular bets for today. But you mentioned it, the Magic 2-1 against the Celtics this season. As bad as the Magic have been, I kind of just, with as many injuries as you have, and considering the Magic have found some weird success against the Celtics, I kind of like this. And it's surprising, about, I think, 85% of DraftKings bets have gone on the Celtics to cover the spread at 8 here. But I really like the Magic +8. I do want to ask you, because I said we're going to save this a little bit for later, but we both talked about Tatum a good amount already. That line at 31.5 points, that is a line, as I pull up my notes here, he has hit it in 3 straight. He's coming off some rest as well, so he's got fresh legs under him. You like that? Is that a little too steep for you?
So like normally with a player prop, right? Like you got to look at the flow of the game. So all right, we do have the +7.5, +8 right now, right? That's where it's sitting at. But here's the thing though, Tatum's going to have to score. I just don't love taking a player at 31.5. I think that's just a very high line. So a lot of times what I'll do, if I like Tatum to score, I'll take him at 30 plus, and then put him with something that's a little more likely to happen. End up at plus money or just around there. But look, he's going to need to score tonight. And if you like that +7.5, which I think the Magic can give them a tough game, then the 31.5 I don't think will be a problem if he's coming back rested. Him and Jaylen Brown are going to shoulder the load scoring wise. Unless we have one of those random Al Horford 25-point games. But those are the two guys that the offense revolves around. So I can see Tatum definitely having a good night.
Yeah, and like you mentioned before, there's a way to take a little bit of juice off of it if you want to just kind of bump it down to Tatum 25 plus. Another guy I'm going with, talking about ex-Spurs players, I'm going with DeJounte Murray. I'm surprised he's been on fire recently. I'm surprised this line is at 21.5. You can get it at -105 on FanDuel. I'm taking the over on his points here. He's hit it in his last 5. He's hit 25 plus in his last 5. If you go over to FanDuel, where they have the alternate lines for player points, you can get 25 plus points for DeJounte Murray at +180. If you bump that down, you can get +118 for him to have over 22.5. If you're a little less confident, and his line's also over 1.5 3-pointers made. I believe he's hit that in 4 of his last 5 games. So I kind of like DeJounte Murray to have a nice game here. The Bulls are kind of run of the middle of the pack against point guards, so it's not like it's pushing me either way all too crazy. But we've seen a much more aggressive DeJounte Murray. I guess talking shit about the Spurs really gets your blood going or something. So I kind of like those.
Hey, look, DeJounte is a good one. I played his points at 19.5 the other night. It feels like the books are still responding to, the recent performance. And if he has another one, then I think we start to see it at 24.5, 23.5, maybe a little higher. So I think if he has a good game tonight, and the thing is, Trae Young's been struggling, so he's a guy that's played really well. He's done it 4 games in a row now where, he's kind of put the scoring load, and he hasn't done it with the same amount of shots that Trae Young does. He's done it with less shots. So I like the pick. DeJounte Murray's a good one.
Okay, so let's go over to our DraftKings most bet on NBA player props for today. We have a good amount of chalk, honestly, which could make this either an easy game to play or a difficult game to play. I'm going to give you the 5 most popular NBA player props today, according to DraftKings. You're going to tell me if there are any that you like and that you would play, or if there are any that you're just absolutely putting up a big red X on, that you're staying away on. So as I'm going to present these to you, I'm going to give you a little bit of background as well. We're going to start with the most bet on prop for tonight. It's Giannis over 28.5 points at -120. Again, all these odds courtesy of DraftKings, but of course you can use our grid to get the best value. They're playing the Pistons tonight in the early slate. He's missed 5 straight out since January 11th. He's hit 30 plus points 2 times against Detroit, both times that they've played. Second most bet on prop, Banchero. That's Paolo Banchero of the Magic against the Celtics, over 17.5 points. You can get it at -135 on DraftKings. This is a number he has hit in 7 of 8. I beg your pardon, that he has missed in 7 of his last 8, and he had hit at in the 2 previous ones. So this is, for some reason, pretty popular prop on DraftKings. I guess people looking for a rebound here. Number 3 is Trae Young, who we talked about, over 25.5 points, -120 against the Bulls. He had 19 and 34 in his 2 games, so kind of splitting the difference here has only
Yeah.
hit it in one of his last 4 games, but 6 of the 7 before that. Tatum over 31.5 points. We talked about that against the Magic. He's hit it in 3 straight. And then number 5, Lauri Markkanen, under 26.5 points, minus 120 against the Hornets. He hit this in 3 of his last 5, but he did miss it in 7 straight before then. So a lot of chalk on the board tonight.
Yeah.
BMatt, I'll read them back to you one more time if you need them, but tell me what you like and dislike for tonight.
All right. So, like, not about liking or disliking, but one thing I generally don't like to do is fade a guy who can score a lot of points in a very good matchup. So, Lauri Markkanen, like, I'm not saying that he hits 27 tonight, or that he clears that prop, but if you're going to eat the juice at minus 120, taking his under, you better make sure it's in a pretty good matchup. And they're playing the Charlotte Hornets, and we've all seen the Hornets defensively. They give up points, and they give up a lot of points. They don't play a ton of defense. That's kind of how they do. You're going to see a lot of shooting, fast paced, pace up spot. So I think Markkanen can have one of those games, because even though, the last 2 games I think he's only gone over that in 3 of his last 5, but in his last 2, I think he's hit 3-pointers, in each. So, he's still shooting the ball well, and with a projected point total that high, I don't love jumping on an under for a guy who can go off. Jason Tatum, hey, like I said, I mean, I might play that at 30 with something else and call that a day. But I think he does have to score, and if the Magic can't keep it close, it's going to be Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, pretty much all night. I'm trying to think now who else we had on the board.
So we also had Trey over 25.5
Yeah,
points.
see, Trae Young and I, like Trae Young, I'm taking a break from Trae Young. So I'm not saying this is hitting or it's not hitting, but Trae Young is a frustrating player to bet on. And, I run a lot of straights, but also parlays, and he seems to be the one leg in my parlays that's, a little weak. So we're gonna take Trae Young out of there for right now. So I'm going to pass on that one.
Okay. And the other ones we had Giannis over 28.5, again, in his return against the Pistons, and Paolo Banchero over 17.5 points against the Celtics. It kind of seems kind of risky on the Giannis front. I mean, this is a potential blowout spot again against the Pistons. Yeah. And this is probably, you played a little easy here with all the injuries between, that Chris Middleton has had this season, Giannis just coming back. I feel like this is, there's no reason to really have to play him more than 25 minutes tonight.
If they can keep it close, though, they might want to get him ramped up. I know Middleton will be back tonight, so that's something that they'll be working into the offense. And Middleton has been more of a facilitator, when he's been working his way back from injury, as he hasn't gotten fully healthy yet. So, that might be something to add. And on the other end, I believe it's confirmed Isaiah Stewart is out. I'll have to double check that, but that'd be a big blow for Detroit as far as a big body down low that can body up with Giannis. I know Jalen Duren is there, but it can present as physical a challenge. So. And then on the Apollo one, I look, the guy that's been playing really well of late is Franz Wagner. I mean, he's been very good. He's been finding a way to make plays. His points plus rebounds was a prop that I looked at earlier, potentially taking, but he's been playing good ball of late. So if I'm looking at someone where everyone's kind of bouncing or banking on that Banchero bounce back spot, I'll stick with the hot hand. I like Franz Wagner in that game.
Who knows? Maybe we see like a 35-point performance from Jonathan Isaac tonight in his first game.
Hey, right?
2+ years, right?
Exactly.
It'd be fitting. Brian, really appreciate you hopping on, and I will talk to you later this week. Some more NBA player props with the one and only BMatt.
Appreciate you.